You can't walk away from work and still expect to have a business left intact. You have to keep working it even when you are on your personal time. You just have to find time to balance it, to have a little bit of both.
To be a real estate agent or a realtor, but you go into this kind of wide-eyed and starry-eyed, I should say, and say, yeah, this is going to be wonderful. And then reality hits you, and how do you manage that?
Well, I haven't done as good as Aspen, where she's pretty good about like turning her phone off at certain hours. That's something you have to do. You have to say no.
You always hear like people saying you should turn your hobby or something you love into a job, and I actually don't agree with that.
The Den, powered by the Lyons Group, a show that explores trending topics in real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. We're a small team of professionals with over $400 million in sales and nearly 2,000 successful transactions. You're listening to time-tested experts and industry leaders. Here's a refreshing look at real estate happenings and more. Welcome to The Den.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Den. And today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and how to try to find work-life balance. It is not for the faint of heart. But before I get into that, let me introduce my friends, my partners, my co-hosts, the fellow members of the Lyons Group. Paul Hammy the Rockberry is not with us today, but we do have Aspen the Ninja Groen and the boss, Shannon Martin Martinez. And my name is Ben. Namaste, Lyons.
I think you've done that one before.
Have I?
I think so.
That's
Maybe.
balance, right? See, I go back to balance.
I think it was the work-life balance one. Or no,
Yeah.
it was, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure. I have to watch through them.
I have done that before because I get centered, right?
It's just natural.
I have to. Oh, stop. Shannon knows how off kilter I am.
We just hide it real well.
That's right. Over the years. But yeah, we wanted to dedicate an episode today about entrepreneurship. We have entrepreneurs here at the Lyons Group. We are all entrepreneurs at heart. To be a real estate agent or a realtor, you have to have that spirit in you to get up every day unemployed and find your business and collect a paycheck, and that is entrepreneurship. But you also have to establish the ability to maintain balance in your life, because we all go into this, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but you go into this kind of wide-eyed and starry-eyed, I should say, and say, yeah, this is going to be wonderful. Everything we're going to do is fantastic. And then reality hits you, and how do you manage that? So, Shannon, I'm going to kick it off with you today. Since entrepreneurship is such a brutal path, why do we walk the road as business owners? I mean, what's at the end of the rainbow?
Nobody knows. There's no idea why people do it. No. There's a lot of reward to it, obviously. Freedom to make your own choices. You can choose to work harder. If you work a 9-to-5 job, it's very hard to say, I'm going to put in extra hours at work. They may not want you to put in extra hours at work. You know,
May cost them more.
That's right. You can't say, I'm going to work really hard these 2 weeks so I can have this week off for my family. You can't do that with a 9-to-5 job. There's a lot of rewards to entrepreneurship. And obviously, the biggest one is you don't have boundaries. Whereas when you are employed, you have boundaries. They give you a task. They want you to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe you can move up the corporate ladder. There's things you can do. You can earn more. You can get in higher positions. There's only so much you can really do. With entrepreneurship, there's no roof. There's no limit. What you want to do, where you want to be, is where you can go.
I love that. And I've always thought about entrepreneurship that way, is like, if I'm going to put in the work, I want to reap the rewards of that. Like,
and be in control of that.
Be in control of it.
Yeah.
But is there a downside to that?
Sure.
Yeah. And what is it?
Risk. With a 9-to-5 job. You could get fired, but with a 9-to-5 job, somebody else worries about the risk. They worry about keeping the light bills on. They worry about, how things get taken care of. And you just show up and you just do what you're supposed to do. And you collect your paycheck and you go home. And for most 9-to-5 jobs, when you go home at the end of the night, you turn off. When you walk out the door at 5, you're like, see you tomorrow. And you go home and it's not a care in the world, But for entrepreneurs, I know you guys are the same way, but, everywhere I go, I'm famous for having my laptop under my arm. I go into a restaurant to have dinner with my family with my laptop under my arm. I went and had lunch with a friend the other day and I said, just give me 1 minute. And I pull out my laptop and I had to take care of something because title company was waiting for something. There is definitely a difference. There's a perk to being in a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
You only owe them 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And when you go home,
the pro is you can work anywhere. The con is you can work anywhere.
That's right.
So it's like you can't really turn it off.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about that quite a bit before we moved locations, because we talked about going out and creating our own little real estate firm, and we ended up coming here to Remax.
Yeah.
And one of the things was, and I remember saying this very specifically, was when the printer goes down.
Yeah.
I text Ryan and I go, "Hey Ryan, the printer's down.
Yeah.
Have a good night."
Yeah, I think there was a few emotional meltdowns and heart palpitations that we all went through thinking about that, going back to that.
Yeah.
Because there was that time where you realize everything is your responsibility, everything is your problem, everything from the lawn guy didn't show up and mow the lawn and our curb appeal looks terrible for a business to, so let's go grab a lawnmower too. Yeah, the printer doesn't work, or, somebody accidentally sent 700 pages to the color printer and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And you still have to pay for that. There's a lot to worry about.
Yeah.
When it's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you try to shelter that a little bit, and that's what we did in this scenario. Aspen, I know you in your heart are an entrepreneur through and through. Talk to me about some of the instances in your life where you're like, this is going to be wonderful and amazing, and maybe it didn't turn out that way.
Well, my last 2 jobs that I had, so I did wedding photography for 8 years to pay for college, and just something I could do on nights and weekends, and that was perfect. But I got into wedding photography because that's where the money is, and you're working every single weekend in the summer, and you have to. You can't, if you take a weekend off, it's like taking a month off. So that was kind of a big downside to it. And then whenever I was owning some yoga studios through Farmington, Dolores, and Telluride, if people didn't call in, you still had to figure it out and you still had to be there. So sometimes I would teach classes in Farmington, Dolores, and Telluride all in the same day, which they're 3.5 hours apart. So it'd be a lot of driving. It was really hard on my body, and honestly, slightly ruined yoga for me.
Right.
And same for photography.
It becomes a job.
Yep,
It's,
became a job.
yoga should be something you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one thing is you always hear like people saying you should turn your hobby or something you love into a job. And I actually don't agree with that. I think those should stay your hobbies unless you're wildly talented at graphic design and you can mass produce it and then put it on, for sale on Etsy, and it's like a one-time thing. I just think it kind of ruins what you're doing it for, because then you're getting the commissions, and it's, instead of just doing it because you like it, if you can find something that you happen to be good at that's also flexible, like real estate, then I think that's what you should do rather than turn something you love into your job.
Yeah, that's really interesting. In fact, we should go into that a little bit because, for instance, some people are great bakers, right? You're a fantastic baker.
Yeah, but if I had to do that, if I had to do it every day, if I had to wake up and I had a certain thing and it wasn't what I chose to make or what I chose to do, it was an order, it was something you have to do, and there's, people going to complain about it, or, all the things that go along with it. Then you kind of start getting a little bit of anxiety about it. And I agree, it would be a lot less fun.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be enjoyable anymore.
So then how do you find that sweet spot of something like you said, it's about maybe something that you're good at, but maybe not a passion for, or where is that? Where is that little area?
I think whenever and I don't think those jobs were bad that I did. I think they're beneficial. I use my photography and graphic design all the time in real estate. I don't really use the yoga, but I use that personally at home. So I don't think
sit
it was
at home and go,
sometimes. Yeah. So I don't think it was like necessarily a mistake or bad. It just wasn't what I couldn't do it forever.
Sure.
I think with real estate is the numbers, whenever we kind of started looking into house flipping and moving, and my parents did flip houses, but it was just, this really makes sense to me. I'm handy. My husband's handy. We are both extremely hard workers. We'll do all the work ourselves. And we were on a tight budget, so we had to get it done quickly. And numbers have always made sense to me. So, and then it was, okay, well, if we're going to do this, then you should get into real estate. So I was able to do that on the side with my other jobs. So I ended up quitting those very quickly because I've talked about this in another one where I feel like you have to kind of jump in, have a backup, have some reserves, don't risk everything. But I think if you have too much of a safety net, you won't fully commit to it.
If you're just dipping your toe in.
You got to go for it, I think. What's the worst thing that can happen? You start over?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Paul Berry, a partner at the Lyons Group. We're dedicated to making your real estate experience the best it can be. If you're looking to buy or sell, go to sjcbroker.com and watch our informational video series. These videos break down the process of buying and selling. While you're there, schedule a private consultation with one of our partners. We'd love to sit down and talk strategy and give you a real advantage in today's market. You deserve the best, so take those steps, and we'll see you soon. Now back to the show.
I think that brings us to the next part of the conversation is finding balance there. But I want to revisit the part where, like, if you have a passion for baking cakes, really think about that. Whether, do you want to turn your passion into a job? Because, you can kill that pretty quickly, that passion for then it becomes a business. And so there's a lot of argument both ways. And I've thought about that over the years. And I do agree in the sense that you may be good. I'm good at dealing with people. I connect with people really well. It comes easily to me. And then I started thinking through, well, how, what's the best way for me to make money with that skill that I enjoy doing? And that came with real estate. I was like, wow, I can have a big impact. I can connect with people. I can build relationships and also make money. And so it wasn't like I was in love with real estate. I just really enjoyed connecting with people. So maybe that is the key to the entrepreneurship vein of where you go with your career or your entrepreneurship desires, is finding out what you're good at, what trait you're good at, and then how can you make money with that? Then maybe that's the first step. But then that moves into, so when I got into real estate, I was very much an extrovert. You take the Myers-Briggs, you do the personality, what do they call it? The personality tests. And I came back and I was very much an introvert. 25 years later, I'm an introvert now. Believe it or not, I'm more of an introvert.
See what real estate does? It kills your soul.
It melts you to the core. And I think that is part of it because you deal with people constantly in this business, and it's really hard to shut off. That when I do have time, I'm like, no, I just kind of want to be with my family. And if I'm staring at the wall for a while, Ron knows, okay, just let him stare at the wall for a little bit. Like he's okay. But it has affected me in that way. I've become more of an introvert over the years. And so that brings us to the question of how do you find work-life balance as an entrepreneur? Shannon, what are some of the tools you use, or what are some of the safeguards you put in place in your life to protect yourself?
Well, I haven't done as good as Aspen, where she's pretty good about like turning her phone off at certain hours and having specific time for herself. I struggle with that, but I want to be better at that. I think that is a key. I think that's something you have to do. You have to say, no, Sundays are, I can return calls after 2 p.m, after I've had, Sunday brunch with my family and I've had church and I've done those things. And now I can go check in on some things if I want to. It's a balance. You can get both. Sometimes you have to turn it off. I think that sometimes you're pretty good at this. You go 110% with everything and build up. But then usually twice a year, you take 2 great family trips with your family while your kids are on summer vacation. That's incredible because that's quality time. And I know you still check in on work and you're still working, you're still available, but you make sure to delegate that stuff back at home and make sure everyone's taken care of before you go and make sure it's all caught up. You do the hard work so that you can have that time more focused and enjoy that. And I think those things are just incredibly important to be able to juggle that. You have to be able to have both, because if you have too much of your own time, your business is going to suffer. And if you have too much of your business time, your family's going to suffer. I know there are times where, when I remember when our boys were small, it really kind of hit me one day. We were driving to Albuquerque, and by the time we got there, and I remember I had been on the phone on and off, and I was just taking care of work and trying to do things and back and forth and stuff pretty much the whole drive. And so that when we got there, I could kind of shut off and, go have some fun. And when we got there, somebody said, oh, I don't know, how was the drive or whatever, somebody asked. And one of the kids said, well, Shannon was just on the phone the entire time again, and it kind of hit me wrong, and I was like, yeah, like we didn't enjoy our drive. We didn't play games in the car. We didn't, some of the things that we normally do. So you realize sometimes how much you give up, trying to make that balance.
Yeah. The old adage, live to work. No, you work to live.
Right.
And it's hard when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because that grays all the time.
You can't walk away from work and still expect to have a business left intact. So,
and the work provides those vacations. It provides.
So you have to keep working it even when you are on your personal time. You just have to find time to balance it, to have a little bit of both.
Yeah. But that was a good wake up moment when the kid said that to you.
Yeah.
So hit at the core. Aspen, what do you do? What are some of the parameters that you set in place, or how do you approach balance in your life?
The only parameter I really have is I put my phone on do not disturb if I'm going to sleep. And then whenever I wake up, I turn it off. And then if we're doing like special family time, like if I'm at, honestly, not even like my kid's birthday or something, I still will take a call for that kind of thing. But if we're doing something together as a family and I really just want to focus on that, it's very, very rare that I turn it on during the day. But holidays, on Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, my phone is on do not disturb the whole day. I don't even look at it.
And I think people should expect that.
You
Title
think,
companies, banks, things like that are not
Yeah.
moving forward. So the average person that's just calling in and saying, I'd like to know about this property today, they should expect to not get someone on that day, I think. I think it's completely reasonable.
Yeah, it's mainly holidays that I turn it off. And then I also I've had this hard, fast rule since I've had a cell phone. If I have a drink of alcohol, my phone is on do not disturb.
That's a good idea.
I don't get on social media. I don't call people. I don't do anything. Because I'm like, you're not going to get my best. You might get a happy side of me, a little fun side of me, but you're not going to get, we're not getting any work done in that case. But I tell my clients, if my phone's on at 11 o'clock at night, that means I'm working. You can give me a call.
Yeah.
There's not real business hours, but if my phone's on do not disturb, I will call you back. Yeah. And then if I go on vacation, I'll do like the email responder, but I always will respond within about 12 hours, depending on if it's in the US or outside of the US.
Right.
Yeah.
Do keep working.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this a lot last night. I was like, how do I find work-life balance? And I think there's a couple things that came to mind. First and foremost is just like establishing, I would call them pillars, I guess, with my family. So like, we're going to do this event. That's a pillar. I'm scheduling it in. I'm going to do it. I'm being present and committed. Whatever I'm trying to do with my family or with my clients, I'm present, I'm there, and I'm committed to what we're doing. And I really try to take that approach. And that way, whether it's, sitting down with my girls and we're doing board game night, or we're enjoying an experience together, I'm committed and I'm there. I'm not on the phone, or my mind isn't elsewhere. Now, that's easier said than done, because sometimes we have these deals, there's a lot of moving parts and there's people with high emotions and stuff like that. But I try, that's what I really go for. And the other thing is that when those pillars are established, I just work around it. So like you said, my phone, I'm responding to texts at 11:30 at night, because I know it's easier and better for me to do that than to wake up the next day when we're going on a little excursion and we're, on a vacation. I'd rather get it done that evening. Then sometimes I just tell Maran, I'm like, look, I just need an hour to clear this, and then I can go and enjoy. And I think that's part of it. Like, try to eat the frog, right?
Yeah.
Right. Very first thing, try to eat it up front, and get it done and clear some space for you. So I think that's a big thing. But also for me personally, you two can chime in on this, emotionally, we are so connected to, first of all, our clients, but also the fact that we put all this work into these transactions to actually get a paycheck at the end of the day, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. You have that emotional connection to it. Over the years, I've been able to numb that back.
Right.
Like, it is what it is. I'm going to do the best that I can with what I've got, and the chips fall where they fall. There has been an incredible amount of stress reduction by getting to that. Is that the namaste point? Like,
Right.
Set it and forget it. You can only do so much. So those to me have really helped me find some balances, like detach from the outcome and do what you can in the moment. And everything comes together the way it's supposed to. And sometimes it doesn't come together, but that's supposed to happen in my belief. So is that how you all kind of approach it, or am I way off kilter?
I'm trying to get better about it, because I can preach all this stuff about work-life balance. But frankly, if there's an email or a text come through, I respond to it instantly, because I don't like a checklist hanging over my head. I like to get things done right away, because then you can literally forget about it. It's done. If I can't get it done right away, I put it on a list that I have on my phone. That's just always a running list. I always have about 30, 40 things just circulating through there. And that has really helped me get a lot of things done. We all have the same hours in the day, but I found entrepreneurs tend to manage time very well. You can get a lot of things done just by doing it right away and not putting it off till later. But I do think I need to get a better work-life balance. And that was one thing I realized, Bryson had his accident and I was like, oh, this something that I've pretty much made my whole life around work. I'm the one that I've always been the one that would want to work. Bryson would love to stay home. I could never do that. Power to people who can. But it finally was a big eye opener for me of like, you know what? I don't want to, this might sound even harsh, but like, this doesn't really matter.
Right.
It does.
Right.
Because it provides a life for my family. And I like being able to, I like what I do. But really,
Yeah.
this family is the most important thing. So I'd like to get more present, and I'd like to say I have been, but
Yeah.
I think I had that for a little bit, and then it's kind of gone back to how things were.
Yeah, you don't lay in your deathbed and go, God, I'm glad I worked those extra hours.
I wish I just would have put in 3 more hours that Wednesday night. I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's
never
all.
do that.
Have you ever read those things that people, have the top 5 or 10 things from a hospice nurse or whoever, end of life statements, and one of the biggest things is I wish I would have spent more time with my family.
Yeah.
Like we do all this for a reason.
Right.
And the toys and the lifestyle and the security that finances bring is wonderful. Security being number one, in my opinion. But, something can happen. Bryson had an accident. I mean, that could have all been taken away in an instant. And you would forever regret not spending the quality time with him or your children or your loved ones in that regard. And so there is absolutely a component of finding that balance, because that's what we do this for, right? We have to reshake that every once in a while because we get so hyper-focused on, like, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. We got to make money. There's the next step and da-da-da-da-da. And you got to take a step back and breathe and go, what are we doing this for? And why? So
maybe one day we'll be able to take Sundays off.
Well, Chick-fil-A does, and they seem to do
and they
pretty
do
good.
just fine.
Yeah,
exactly.
And there's another realtor up in Durango that takes Sundays off. And,
he does.
And
he's one of the most successful ones up there.
Yeah. So establishing boundaries in that regard, parameters, maybe self-parameters. And for all the new young realtors, when I say young, I'm talking about young in their career, that come into this business, establish your boundaries sooner than later. And I get it. You got to chase the business. But the sooner you can start implementing, hey, this is my time, this is my family time, the better you are, the better you can spend, the better quality time you can spend with your family and your loved ones, but also the better you can serve your clients. Because when I'm burnt out, I'm not on my best. I'm not responding well. I'm short. What do you think, Shannon? Do I get a little curt sometimes?
Well, I think we all do, but it is very true when they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so, when there's just nothing left of you and you are tired and you've missed everything important that week with your family and you're just starting to get resentful to everybody that calls, how are you serving them well? You're not.
Yeah.
You're not. We want to show up with a great attitude. Hey, I'm your partner. I'm here to help. Let's go, find that house. Let's go get that sold for you. Whatever it is, that's the energy we should be showing up with. And sometimes you have to take a break to be able to do it. We all get burnt out.
You got to recharge a little bit. You always know, because I reach out to him like, Shannon, I think I need a break because I'm starting to get a little ugly. At people.
I think we all do it. We start getting a little short with people and you realize they have no idea how difficult my day just was. It's not their fault.
Sure.
Mine is the notifications get overwhelming. The emails, the texts, the phone calls, the voicemails, the Facebook messaging, that's how I know whenever I'm getting burnt out, because I'm not instantly responding.
Yeah.
And then I forget about it.
Yeah.
Not often, but that's how I know. But it builds up. Exactly.
Yeah. So the whole do it now thing is really critical for an entrepreneur. Do it now. If something, you don't want to touch things 2 and 3 times, like touch it once, respond, get it done, and move on. And there's an art to that.
I think sometimes people also don't realize how many people we connect with every day. You might say, well, this realtor had, 3 deals this month, and that may not seem like a ton, but they don't realize how many people we're connecting with every day, whether it's, 10 different people from each of those deals, plus a million just calls that come in. Hey, I'm just asking about this place down the street. Oh, you do already have a realtor. Okay. Well, I just took 10 minutes of my time, or, somebody calls and just wants to know, how do I get pre-qualified? Okay. Well, let me give you some information. We'll talk for a while. I'm going to, get you over here. how many people we talk to throughout the day to just keep business going, keep things in the pipeline. It's not just about working those 3 deals maybe that you close that month and you think that, that was very successful, but they didn't work that much. It was just 3 deals. They don't realize how many people we touch during the day, how many people we really talk to.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. It's not just the 3 deals that you're working right now. You're trying to get the business. You're chasing all of the business out there to put 3 more deals behind it, or 4 or 5 or whatever it is. And then all the deals that close and all the past clients and all the conversations that you're having post-closing. People call and say, hey, how do I get a hold of this person for this thing? And you're spending 20 or 30 minutes. So you spend 20-minute call 3 times, that's an hour of your day. That's
and
gone.
While we enjoy that, like I want my past clients to call and ask things or just chit chat. I want that, and I want other people to call and ask me a question. So it's not that we don't want that. I think sometimes people don't really realize how much time we spend during the day just touching a million things that aren't even a deal that we're working. Just touching a million different things.
Well, that is fascinating. I love it. But I'm going to move us to the speed round because this is going to be a fun one. You two have to think on your toes a little bit.
Oh, no.
We should have read the notes.
I did never read the notes.
So,
been prepared.
So what is your best analogy of being an entrepreneur? And if you want me to kick it off, I'll kick it off.
Okay.
Because I've never used this analogy before. But we've spent some time out on the lake, and I almost feel like it's wakeboarding a little bit. You get behind that boat and you're all anxious and you're excited. You grab onto the rope, you scream, let's go, right? Or hit it or something like that. And next thing you know, you got waves and water going up your nose, and then you pop up. So you struggle, you pop up and you're like, yeah. And then you faceplant.
Right.
And then, right. And or you go the other way and you get a water enema. That's terrible, but it happens. Right. And so that's entrepreneurship. Cause then next thing you know, the boat's coming back around, they're handing you the rope and you're like, let's do it again.
And you're like, I know what I did wrong now.
Yeah.
Let's get back on.
So we're going to have some fun at this no matter what. So that, that would be my best analogy for entrepreneurship. If you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you can relate. Who wants to go with their analogy?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't have one.
Well, yours is better than the first thing that popped into my mind was actually, it's a joke by a comedian about having 3 kids, but I'm going to change it to this. It's like, and it was, imagine you're treading water, you're doing a great job. And then all of a sudden someone hands you a rock. It's like, and I'm like, that's kind of
right.
like, you're like, okay, I got this. It's easy. And then all of a sudden it's hard again.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not even hard though, necessarily. It's just like you have to keep going. You have to always kind of be on, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
And
that's actually really.
I'm like, but I don't have a fun side to my analogy. It's just like, now you're just treading water with a rock.
Right,
so.
Now I'm just drowning.
You're going to die or you're
I like how Ben thought about this though. We had or get stronger.
Yeah. But
stronger,
that does make me think about that because that's really good. But I've also seen those analogies with people. They talk about like ducks, they're just calm on the surface and they're just floating on the water. And underneath they're just, they're doing this the entire time. And that really is a lot of what real estate is.
So great conversation, ladies. Thank you for that. And hopefully our viewers gleaned some information on how, if you are in the entrepreneurial space, how do you establish some parameters? How do you find a little bit of balance? It's hard. We still work on that. We struggle with that. But it is something to be conscious of, and it can help you become a better person, a better spouse, a better father or mother, or whoever you are, become a better person, which is wonderful. You got to have that balance. You got to be able to recharge, and that way you can serve from a full cup, not from an empty cup. And great insight. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. If you like our content, please like and subscribe. Of course, go to sjcbroker.com and you can schedule a consultation with any one of the partners here at the Lyons Group. Whether you're buying or selling residential or commercial, we'll be happy to sit down with you and give you an advantage in today's market. Thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den, powered by the Lyons Group. Hit the subscribe button to keep informed and check the show notes below for direct links to our buyer and seller video series. The buyer and seller video series can give you an inside track on taking the right steps in real estate. If you'd like to learn more about the Lyons Group or to schedule a consultation, go to sjcbroker.com. Complex markets require complex strategies. The Lyons Group can give you a true advantage in any market. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, contact us directly at sjcbroker.com. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in the Den.